Hey everyone, welcome back to Mrs. Wizard's Way. And while I love doing the Car Wizard channel, there are 5 things I absolutely hate. Let's get started. So I have my official assistant with me today. Here's Daisy. Can you believe she's almost a year old? Those of you who have followed me for a while, she was just a tiny little thing. Now she's just huge and she is the quirkiest little kitty ever. But I think I'll put my assistant down because she's not that good of assistant, let me tell you. But I have 5 things today that challenge me the most doing the Car Wizard channel. I'm behind the scenes and I love, this one doesn't count towards the 5, but it's always interesting the people who say, I wish you would go away. It's like, well, if I go away and don't do anything, well, there is no Car Wizard channel because the wizard is obviously, he does a lot of the work, he has all the knowledge, but behind the scenes, I'm the one filming it, I'm the one, checking the sound on it, making sure everything looks good, sounds good, get the cameras in the right spot and all that, and of course the editing and the uploading, so I always find that interesting, but that's just mildly annoying. The 5 that I really hate, I'm going to start with the one that's the least annoying and I'll work my way up to the one that's just downright I just hate. But the first one is, you can get dirty. I gotta watch it. I don't wear nice clothes. I'm not wearing this to film today. We're not filming at the shop today because it has a risk of getting dirty. And I learned that one really early on. It was in the summer we were filming, I still remember it. We were filming the video on explaining why the engine exploded in the Prius that Hoovie put nitrous on. And Wizard did something and with the oil pump kind of thing, and it shot oil at me and got on my shirt, got on my shorts. I was able to salvage them, but now they're more work clothes because as much as I tried to get the oil out, it left a little bit of a stain. So I've learned, make sure to be safe and not get dirty. So that one's mildly annoying. The second one, this one I have pretty much gotten down, but occasionally it still pops up, is tech problems. Yeah, I know, you're thinking, really, computers are your friend. No, they're not your friend. AI and anything is not your friend. So some of them I've learned from recording, that the cameras don't always do well. We've advanced a lot in our filming since we started. We first started, if you remember one of the early ones, you'll see one of our good friends, Bill, and he's holding a cell phone. Well, that was the microphone. That was what we had. When we first started, we didn't want to invest, hundreds and hundreds of dollars into equipment if we weren't going to be, if this wasn't viable. If this wasn't viable, the channel didn't go anywhere, we're not going to spend money on equipment that we're not going to end up using for very long. So we started off with basically cell phones. We've advanced. Since then, we've gone from just regular HD, we're up to 4K now. And the reason I shoot in 4K is that I want it to last as long as possible. If you think on TV, how many times do you watch TV shows from the 80s? You just don't really like it. You're like, ooh, the quality isn't so good. You want HD or better, and that's what while we're filming. And that's one of the first things we discovered. We got a 4K camera, and we're like, oh, my computer can't keep up. We need to get a new computer. Before we invested in better software, we were just using Apple iMovie, and it was doing okay. And then one time I'm editing along, I'm doing great. I look at it, I'm like, oh, we're about 10, 15 minutes into a video. It was 8. It just went to 8. Somehow, I don't know what happened, it just deleted a whole bunch. And it couldn't have been just one segment because the Wizard we have lots of little pieces and parts to it. So it would have had to select a whole section, have little pieces and parts, and poof, gone. And I was like, oh, I had to start all over again. I was not a happy camper. The other thing are the mics. And we're up to these DJI mics now. We've used Rode Wireless. That was one we used for a really long time. The only trouble with that is that the lav mic, kind of carefully, just gently wrap it. Well, after doing that a couple hundred times, yeah, it just broke. It was just too hard. You can't, what do? You can't just leave the whole mic string out. You've got to somehow put it together. So we would loosely wrap it. And eventually we went through 2 lav mics on the setup. They recorded well, except that was a problem. So then we went to these, and these are doing really well. They just clip on. They have a little muff if we're outside, if we need that, but these are really well. And there's 2 of them. So that was one complaint for the longest time. As I got more vocal in his videos, people are like, oh, she needs a mic. Or if we have 2 people on film, we need to have each person with their own mic. So the third thing that really annoys me, that just I hate to deal with sometimes, I'll say, it's not always, but number 3 is advertisers. And I know a lot of people who watch the videos and watch YouTube in general do not like the creators putting ads that they're doing into the videos because it's harder to get out of them. You got to skip or something, which we don't appreciate though. But it's a source of revenue. And let's be honest, if somebody's offering you money, a good amount of money, would you turn it down? Probably not. The ones who really complain the most, in the comments at least, are probably those boomers that like to call, their local TV station when the weatherman predicts bad weather and tries to curse him out and tries to make him change the forecast. Yeah, it's just the way it is. So, the advertising in itself, can have, good and bad. But there are 3 things within advertising that can be really annoying. And the one I have to deal with multiple times a day is companies will email and say, hey, in exchange for our product, we'll send you one free. If you can do a video review on it, they're asking for free advertising. It's like, that's not how this works. Do you work for free? There are some companies that have given us some products, but we have an arrangement with them. And it's not a $50 chintzy little part that comes out of China. But I get multiple emails from these kind of companies every day. So I look at them, I read them, and then I push the magic button on the keyboard, the delete key, and send it on its way. So it's not terribly, awful. It's just annoying every day, delete, delete, delete. So that's the first one. The second one is, and the second and third actually kind of connect a little, is that when you do advertising, you don't actually reach out to that company that you're advertising for and ask, hey, would you like us to advertise? And they don't reach out directly to the content usually and say, hey, you want to advertise for us? There's a middleman. There's somebody between us. They're the ones that are going out and making contact with these companies, and they usually have several creators that they can then present this company to. So, for example, if they're advertising, shampoo, it would be silly to advertise that on the Car Wizard channel. Right. But if it was for beard care, obviously that would be perfect for the Wizard and not for a beauty channel. At least a women's beauty channel. I really hope I don't get a beard. But that's what they do. That middleman kind of weeds it out and kind of focuses it. And they also try and get good rates. And of course, they do get a cut of it. But that gives the creator, they don't have to do as much work. Now, sometimes these creators can be annoying. That's where these 2 come in. The first one I'm going to tell you about is somebody not long ago reached out to us and they're like, hey, David, and they always do that, and I get that. Hey, David, we're interested in, working with this company. And I reply back, because I'm the person in charge of advertising. The Wizard's off dealing with the shop. It is a functional working shop, which mystifies most people. They're like, really, it's an actual shop? It's not just fake on YouTube? No, we are running a business, providing the livelihood for our employees. And so it's important that he focuses there. I focus on the YouTube channel, and so that includes the advertising. So I respond back, I said, hi, this is Jenny. I'm David's wife and his production manager. How can I help you? And he replies back, hi, David. I'm like, I just introduced myself. You're not talking to David. He really is not going to be responding to you. Sorry. So again, magic button on the keyboard, delete, bye-bye, buddy. It's just kind of rude just to overlook what we just talked about. Haven't heard back from that guy either. The third one, we had an advertiser at some point, and the middlemen were horrible to work with. Horrible. Normally a company will give us the company that we will be doing the ad for through the middleman will give us what we call talking points. And those talking points, can be, hey, these are the things you need to talk about. You have to. These are some things you should talk about. Maybe you can pick or choose a couple of these bullet points. And here are some things you don't say or don't mention. Obviously, a lot of times those don't mentions are competitors or anything derogatory to something else. Okay, that's pretty logical. This middleman didn't do that. they gave me a glorified PowerPoint. And let me tell you, I'm familiar with glorified printed out PowerPoints, or exported as PDF. I know what they look like. And so the first one was like a pretty picture. Here, you're working with this company. Hey, this is what that company is all about. Here's their history. I don't care their history. I'm not advertising their history. I'm advertising the product that they want me to. And we finally get into that several slides later, and there's like 30 words on the slide. It's supposed to be a 1.5, 2-minute ad with 30 words. I'm like, what the heck am I supposed to do with this? And they also expected me to go out and buy the product. I was then able to invoice them for that expense, but I'm like, normally they just send it to you and then you unbox it, you do whatever, you use it, But that's not the case with this company. I was like, okay, so now I've got this expenditure as well. I really hope they come through and pay, because that's another issue, but we've not experienced that. We've not had a non-payment advertiser. Sometimes those middlemen go out of business and they kind of go out because they didn't pay their creative talent. But I contact them and I'm like, what's going on? Is there any more? No, go ahead. So I send them the script, and they would come back and they said, oh yeah, we'd like you to say blah, 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 blah. I'm like, none of those words were on my PowerPoint slide. I would have totally done that if you just gave it to me. And then comes time to payment, and I'm like, okay, they're like, hey, can you fill this form out? So I fill out the form. It's all, automatic, ACH, automatic transfer to bank accounts. And they're like, it's not working. And I said, well, it's a savings account. I like to put all of our advertising money into a savings account. Oh, that shouldn't be a problem. Well, sometimes it is with some companies. Some companies use a system that only can go into a checking account. I don't know why, I'm not a banker. But nonetheless, I'm like, is it because of this? They're like, oh no, it's all good. Yeah. They came back like a week later. Oh yeah, you have to use a checking account. I think they were new at this, and I'm trying not to be mean, but they made my life miserable. It was horrible. It was like, the middlemen we normally work with are fabulous. They are very on top of things. They get information back to us. They email right away. The only trouble we have is that they're on the West Coast and we're in the center of the country. So they're 2 hours earlier than we are. So I can't wake up in the morning and say, hey, I'll fire off an email right away and they'll get back to me. That usually doesn't happen. It usually is more of, it's about 6 or 7 here and I might still get an email from them, which I don't mind. But that's kind of where it is with advertising. But yeah, advertisers, it's not just so easy as, let me just say 3 words and be done with it. There's a lot to advertising beyond just saying those words and showing a product we're selling. The fourth one is social media. And there's 2 parts of this one as well. The first one is just trying to keep up with all the posts. Oh my goodness, I am not the best at keeping up with the posts on Instagram and TikTok and all the others. That is just between 3 videos a week, 4 when I do one for this in my channel. It's just too much. Plus being the bookkeeper and all the other things is just a lot. The other part, so that's just a small little, it's there, but it's one of those things that just feels like there's a monkey on my back saying, come on. The other one is the fake accounts. There are a lot of fake accounts out there. And some social media is really good about getting rid of them, but I have to notify them. I have to go out, I have to physically search each of them. Sometimes they'll connect on the Facebook Car Wizard page, where they then start communicating with people and say, hey, I'd love to, talk to you, or you've won this truck or this car, here's my WhatsApp. We don't have WhatsApp. So there's that part. There's on TikTok, they love to try and repost the videos. So they basically steal our videos and try and post them to try and get monetized and make money off of our videos. That's a great one. TikTok also has numerous fake accounts. Here's a screenshot of a couple of, I just Google searched Car Wizard, and I notify TikTok, but they are a Chinese-based company and not always the most diligent about going through and verifying copyright issues. And sometimes it's just, they say, my little avatar is the Car Wizard face. Well, at least that's easy to find. When I search it, I can see the little orange circle around the blue Car Wizard hat. But that's another annoyance. Between Facebook and Instagram, they're a little better. I can do a search for videos, or at least they'll go search for them for me, and I just have to put a takedown notice and they take it down within a couple hours. So that one's not terribly difficult, but there's not a lot of traffic on that one, other than obviously on the Facebook page. So that definitely is a problem. Sometimes the viewers let us know that there's a fake account out there. I just had one about on Reddit, Am I the A-hole forum? And the person was relaying that they were the car wizard, and that they were laying the story of our daughter wrecking the Prelude, and how she was so embarrassed, and that recently that he had made a comment about finding a car for a teenage daughter in a video, and how she felt he was so sexist. Okay, I showed her the post, she read it, and she died laughing. Yes, it wasn't humiliating, it was hilarious. She thought it was great. She's like, Mom, that's not even at all what happened. No, we have done so much to try and keep our kids out of social media, off of the channel. It is their privacy. If they've ever wanted, we've joked about it. You want to be on the channel? No. Ironically, though, our daughter was the one who was driving the truck around when Hoovie had the creepy doll episode, and you see this truck and it looks like nobody's in it driving. Yeah, she was the one kind of hunched down in there driving it. So you can't even see her, but that's who was driving the truck that day. So we've done a really good job keeping them private, but yeah, trying to keep up with the trials of social media. Now, the last one. This is the one that is the hardest for me, especially this time of year. As you've heard in the Car Wizard videos, that we turn off the fans. We send the guys to the office. The office is air conditioned, okay? They get a break while we're filming. Everyone thinks, oh, you're break, even if we have them in the video with us, they're not in the whole part. They're maybe there for maybe 10 minutes. The rest of the time, they still get a paid break, okay? We're the ones in the hot, or sometimes very cold shop, because the heater has to get turned off. Well, we don't have air conditioning in the shop, but the swamp coolers, the big industrial fans that go have to be turned off. We close all the doors so there's no sound, because it is no muffler Newton, and there are a lot of really loud cars that go by. I think some of them, know where we're at and kind of gun it a little bit, but nonetheless, so it's very hot. Now, I will have sweat running down my body in places that sweat should not be entering. It is so bad. And I have to be holding the camera very still. Luckily, the big camera, the 4K big camera we use, is on a tripod. So that one's not so bad. But the handheld camera we have is a DJI Pocket 2. That one has a gimbal on it. But it also has a whole kind of a setup where the camera's here and then the cell phone is next to it, and I can watch the screen on the cell phone. Because on the DJI, the camera is literally that big. That's as big as it is. So there's no way I could really read it and see anything that's going on. So make sure I have the old iPhone attached to it. Plus it has a light. So it's not very heavy, but you just have to sit and be very still, which means sometimes bugs like to land on you and you can't move. You can't move. So when there's a chance I can move, it's like, move my legs or something, just like, get that bug off of me. Sometimes if you've ever watched this video, you'll see like one fly through. It doesn't happen terribly often. Usually it's the extreme heat or the extreme cold. The cold is easier. I can just wear more layers and I can put some gloves on, but the heat is harder to escape because it's just there and you can't put a fan or anything on you. But that's probably the most annoying. Also, as I'm sitting there holding the camera very, very, very still, I'm monitoring what he's saying. I'm thinking about things that maybe he is missing, maybe. And it's not that he's not very knowledgeable, he is, but have you ever had a conversation with somebody and you're like, oh crap, I should have told them about that, or I forgot to mention this. I'm the one there trying to catch all those things that maybe we need to re-explain. So anytime that maybe I've popped up and said a question to him that you're like, oh, I was just thinking that, or maybe you're like, oh yeah, he just got to what I was just thinking about asking, it's maybe that I've asked that question off camera. And so holding that camera really still again, and I'll be like, 1 second, I can move a little, but I can say 1 second, and he'll freeze, and then blah, 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 you know. I'm also really paying attention to what he's saying. So if something happens, something interrupts, maybe a mailman comes through the door and drops off a package, I repeat back the last few words he was just saying so he can pick up in the video right where it's left off. So we don't have to be like, crap, where were we? And it seems more fluid in how we're recording. So those are the 5 things that annoy me the most about filming and editing and managing the Car Wizard channel. So I hope you've enjoyed the video today. Sorry I didn't have one for you last week. It's just been insane around here. So I'm gonna try. We'll see. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.